Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, another video where I bought something faulty off eBay and I'm going to do my best to repair it. So let's just rip into it, I'll show you what it is and then I'll show you the eBay listing. So here we have it, a Dell Visor with controllers. So it's a virtual reality device. Now I recently did a PlayStation VR and I really enjoyed it. And I think this one will make a good one as well. And the good thing about this is, I could be completely wrong, and I often have been in the past, I think this sort of thing is the perfect buy. Because you can see how nicely it was packaged, you can see that it looks like all the original packaging's here, and the write-up on it, to me, it just seems so genuine and believable. So I'm hoping that this will be like a real fault and not something which has been torn into by 6 different people trying to fix it and then ended up on eBay. Let me show you the listing. Right, so you can see here, Dell Visor Virtual Reality VRP100 with controllers, screen faulty. Now, it was up for £84.99 and £6.49 postage. I think I put an offer in for £70 something, that was declined, but he accepted the offer at £80. So if you have a look here, can you see there that offer of £80 was accepted? So let me just tell you the write-up. And when I read this write-up, I just really liked it because it's the sort of thing that would happen to just a normal person. Right, it says here, Dell Visor Virtual Reality, blah blah blah, faulty screen. Right, it came free with a laptop January 2018, but was not opened or used until last month, so out of warranty for a repair from Dell. It worked perfectly for about 2 hours, but then the right screen started flickering and went black. I'm sure it could easily be repaired if you're any good with electronics. It's in the original packaging with the controllers. Before buying, please make sure you understand that this item has a faulty screen. Now, that to me just sounds so believable. I can really just imagine that thing happening to me, but obviously I would try and fix it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing this one. Wow, there's one weighty box. Okay, so now, I mean, yeah, that looks absolutely immaculate. Now, I don't know anything about these, but I believe that the tracking is done kind of inside out. So in other words, with the older virtual reality, they had like cameras dotted around the room, and it used to be the cameras that used to track the controllers. Well, now the cameras are built into this one here. So it's the controllers are being tracked by these cameras here. So it means you don't have to have, for example, 4 cameras dotted on each corner of the room to track these. So I think it's a better system. But, well, when I say a better system, I don't know if it works better, but it means that you haven't got to, I think the setup time's quicker because you haven't got to have cables going all around the room. Right, okay, well, we don't need to worry about the controllers yet. Let's just worry about this, because if the screen's black on one side, then obviously that means the screen's broken. What I'm thinking to begin with is hopefully it's not a break on the actual screen. I'm hoping that it might just be the fact that the ribbon cable feeding that particular screen might have come undone, because if it started flickering, maybe that's it. Or it might be very similar to the PlayStation VR and it might be a fault with the cable itself. So what I'm going to quickly do now is I'm just going to inspect this cable all the way along the length just to see if I can see anything obviously wrong with it. Do you know what it could be? I could imagine a weak spot being here, and already I can see that on that cable there it looks to be slightly, there's a bit of an indentation just there, and we all know if you watch my PSVR video how small the wires are. So it's a nice feature that you can hinge these up like that, but repeated movement on that cable there, that would be the most likely place for it to break. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, we have to verify this fault. Set something up where I can plug this into my computer to see exactly what's happening on the screen. So, I've already hit my first hurdle. So my computer is good enough. You can see I've got green ticks all the way down there. But yeah, every time I connect it, it says, please connect the headset. And I've got the headset connected. I've tried different USB ports, and no matter what I do, it just keeps saying connect your headset, which is really weird. So a bit annoying, because I don't know now, is this some kind of like issue with the software or something, or is it purely the headset? Because, you know, it said it was only the right hand screen that went blank, so I was hoping to get some display on the left hand screen. Right, first hurdle solved. I just had to go to Device Manager and I just had to update the drivers for it. So as soon as I did that, it went through to this next page here that says set up your controllers. So that's what I'm going to do now. Right, okay, I haven't got anything through either of the screens on the actual visor. Now you can see that it's set up because when I move around the visor, you can see it's moving there. Also, you can see I've got my controllers set up here, but absolutely nothing's happening on either screen. So 100% now, I'm going to disconnect this and take it apart. Because it's just completely dead. There's nothing there at all. It doesn't matter whether I cover up this sensor thing here, it's still dead on both of them. Right, so this is a nice easy start. It looks like these are just on, these are just Velcro. That's quite good, so it means they would be actually very easy to replace. And now I can see I've got screws around here, so hopefully this won't be too hard to take apart. Right, okay, so now that's popping off here. So it looks like this is the sensor here. It must be to detect whether it's on your face or not. So I suppose that could be faulty there. The problem I've got here, the real big problem is I can't swap any of the components out because I haven't got another one to swap with. So when I did my PlayStation VR, I would have never have been able to fix it unless I had my own one. And because I had my own one, I kept swapping the parts because I would have thought it would have been the sensor, for example. But then I swapped it over the sensor, I swapped over the main board, and bit by bit I eliminated it down to the cable. And then once you can eliminate it, you can then start fault finding fully on that cable. But when you really haven't got a clue what the fault is, it's very, very hard. So this is going to be a lot harder to do than the PlayStation one, unless it's something very simple, like for example it was dropped and the ribbon cable came out that's feeding the screens here. Right, so I'm just going to try to take it apart even further. Right, that one seemed to come out very easy. I didn't pull that cable. Thing is, I don't know where it actually went in. Could that be it? That's for the power, isn't it? Look, that's for the power. Right, I've got my hopes up now. But where did that come out of? Somewhere on the right hand, somewhere down this left hand side here. Thing is, I don't know how to get this off because this sensor's in the way and I can't see how to undo it. Oh, here we go. Excellent. Right, where is the power connector? Because I might not have to take it apart any further. I bet you that's it under the Captain tape here, look. Do you reckon that's it there? Under here? That's it, isn't it? That's it. Right, I didn't pull that out unless I did it by accident. Can you see it just there? Right, let's try and plug that back in and see if it's going to work. I've got my hopes up now. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't get my hopes up. I've got these, let me take these off because these are hanging off now anyway. Not the nicest of connectors if I'm honest with you. So there we go. That is for one. Oh, sorry, the lenses are just, these are the lenses here. Wow, they're tiny. I thought they were going to be in there. So this is all to do with the cameras in here and the main board. These are the actual lenses here. Right, I better be very careful. Now they just clip on with these connectors. I really am not a lover with these because they're very easy to bend the connectors when you go to put them back on. I mean, it came off there very, very easily. Oh, hold on a minute. And oh, this is going to be very hard. That's for the sensor there in the middle. And the sensor came off this bit here. So they've all basically just come out really easy without me doing anything. So maybe this is not the fault. Don't know. Yeah, that last pin there. But it's not the pin, it's just the plastic that's broken, so it might be okay. That should be squeezed together. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not criticising it already, but I think the PlayStation VR seems to be better made. I suppose the budgets are much bigger on PlayStation VR. Well, I'm going to connect this bit and then connect this bit afterwards. Right, it goes in that way with the black up top. Right, okay, that is back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tape back down on it, but it's not very sticky. I think I'm going to put another layer on, because otherwise that problem's going to happen again. I mean, as I say, I don't know if that's the thing causing it or not. I'm going to put some more tape around that, because that's asking for trouble. Right, I've got some little Captain tape here. Let me try to put a few layers around the place. Right, hopefully that there now will keep it in a little bit better. So now I've got to try and get the sensor in and also the two screens back connected. Don't know how easy or hard this is going to be. Obviously I haven't put this back in it yet. So now we're going to connect this up to the computer and see if anything happens. Okay, let's turn these on. Right, so these are both on now. Let's see if I can see anything through here. No. Still can't see anything at all. Oh, annoying. Was that the fault then or not? Or have I created some other fault now? Right, okay, I'm just going to bring this over to the PC just to make sure it's definitely not connecting. Right, okay, yeah, it's definitely not coming through on here, but the good thing is the cameras at the front are working, because watch, it's actually recognising the controllers up on screen. Can you see that? So that's coming from the cameras here, because when I cover up the camera, then what happens is when I start moving the controller around, often that beam goes off it, and it's the same with this one here. So I'm confident that the cameras are working, and also I've definitely got audio coming through this cable here, because when I've got my earphones plugged into it, I can actually hear the sounds and stuff. So it is just a display. Oh, I really don't know now. I mean, I'm going to have to take it apart again. The thing is, those connections, basically, I'll be honest with you, at this moment in time, I am really not confident about getting this working, because I think I was lucky to get those screen connectors back on that time, and if I do it again, then I've got a feeling it's not going to work next time. So right now I'm undecided whether it's the cable or, you know, the main cable or something else or not, but because I can't do the pin out on a working cable, if there's just one wire broken, I'm not going to be able to know, because out of all the cables, out of all the wires, there's going to be some that are not connected anyway. So at this moment in time, I don't know. I mean, right now I'm thinking it could be the sensor here, because it's completely off here. So does this indicate that basically the sensor's not working? I don't know. The thing is, it's so horrible to take apart that it's not something that I can do that many times before it's not going to let me put it back together again. But right now, it's still not doing anything, so I've got no choice. I have to take it back to take it apart again. So let's get it back over to the blue mat and have another look at it. Right, I've just had a look online, and people have said try changing it to 60 Hertz rather than 90 Hertz or automatic. I tried that, it didn't make any difference. And the other thing somebody suggested was to try it through a HDMI splitter, because if the power's not enough. So basically I have got a little HDMI splitter here, so it's worth a go. I've also got a switch as well. Again, I'll power both of them just in case. You never know. It's highly unlikely, but it's worth a go. So I'm going to plug that into the computer. So I'm just really worried, because look how thin that is on the HDMI cable. It's kind of asking for trouble. Right, so this is going to be the input here. And now let's plug that in. Let's see if that makes any difference at all. Actually, no, that's not going to be the input, is it? Hold on 1 second. The computer's doing the work, obviously. Sorry, so this is going to be... the computer's doing the work, so... yeah, that's right, so the computer's got the input here, that's it. And it outputs to the actual headset. Right. No, nothing happening at all, so unfortunately we are going to have to take this apart again. Right, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle it completely. And then see what happens. Now, I will say this now, you can probably tell by my voice, but I already know that it's going to break when I put it back together. The parts are just too, in my opinion, too weak. They don't look like they're made to be taken apart over and over again. So I was lucky I managed to get it back together that time, but I think now this time it's probably going to fail. So I'm going to fast forward through it. Maybe when I get to the stage where when I have the screen out again, I might just try plugging it into the computer, wiggling around those connectors just to see if we have any life in it. Just in case you're wondering, I have had a look in there, and to me the pins look good. I can't see any of them that are bent or anything. Looks like a normal HDMI port to me. I'm going to do various different things. I'm going to get my multimeter now and I'm going to check between the pins here and these little gold pads, and just to see if there's any continuity in case there's a fault with the sensor or something. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to work through different things. The board does feel like it's getting very hot in here. I don't know if that's normal or not, but the whole thing feels extremely warm right now. I can feel the heat building up in there massively. So maybe that's going to be, especially up here, maybe that's going to be an indication of what the problem might be. Yeah, so I'm going to take this all apart, and then once I've found something, I will then get straight back to the filming. Right, I think the sensor's working, because if I go on these two pads here, you can see my meters reading open loop. Yeah, and now watch this. When I cover them up, you can see I'm getting a reading now. And now if I let go, so that says to me that the sensor is working, because when I cover up the sensor, there is something happening. And also I've got continuity between the pins here and the places up here. So I think, I don't know, but I think that bit's okay. Right, okay, so this looks like it's the HDMI connection over this side here. Let's try to undo it and then we can get a closer look at everything. And again, we have another one of those type of connectors, but this one looks like it's slightly better because it looks like a bigger connection. Well, at least we can now get to the pins to do some testing, which is good. Right, okay, so these are the little cameras here and here. So now I can get this cable out. There we go. Right, so we know the cameras are working, so really I shouldn't have to worry about any of this. These look like they're all the heat sinks and the thermal pads and stuff. So again, hopefully that is all going to be okay. And basically there's nothing more in there. It would be nice to actually get the cable out completely. Right, so we can unclip that from there. I wonder how I get it out this bit here. There we go, Velcro again. Well, I might as well take the cable out completely. Right, there we go. So that is how the cable is routed around here. So I should be able to unclip this there from there now. And this should free it up for me. I'm not sure again how it's connected here. Oh, here we go, that's it. Oh, very crudely done, but if it works, it works. Just trap that behind there. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Right, now we have got the cables free. Perfect. Right, I'm really glad that I've done that, and also it's interesting to take it apart in bits as well to see how it all goes together. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to worry just yet about the oh, hold on. You know that little thing that was loose? That's purely for the headphones. That's just for the headphones. That's not going to make any difference anyway. Well, at least I know now, so that plug there was nothing to do with it. If it was loose, it might have been loose, but it was just for the headphone jack anyway, so that's useful to know. So, In which case then I definitely haven't found the fault on this, because that was confusing me, because I thought, you know, did I fix that fault? Have I put a new fault on it? So it goes back to me thinking that possibly it might be a cable issue. The only thing, if it's only been used for 2 hours, why would the cable fail so quickly? That's what's worrying. But then again, maybe it's been used for months. I don't know. It just all looks to be absolutely perfect. I actually believe that it was only used for a couple of hours. I'm going to go through this now and see if I can work out what's coming up where. So basically this one connector here does the power and also the HDMI as well. So there's no point in me filming this because it's just going to take hours to go through all of this. But I'm going to do it, and then hopefully I will, you never know, I might be able to find something, so I'll get back to this later. Okay, so this is what's going to keep me entertained now for the next hour or so. So I've got the special Dell connector here, which has 30 pins. I've got the HDMI and I've got the USB. And now I'm going to go across the Dell one and see where it's coming up on the HDMI or the USB. And then hopefully by the end of it, I might be able to work out, for example, if one of the important pins are not coming up on the HDMI, that are for example, the display, then I might be able to work that out via here. Kind of clutching at straws, but there's not really much else I can do. Right, okay, I know this looks a complete mess, but something definitely isn't right here. So now let me just sort of explain what I've done. This connector here is this connector, yeah? So basically it's already labelled up properly on the board. So basically this side here is 1, it goes down to 15 on this side, and then it's got 16 to 30 here. So it starts with the contacts here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 15, and then 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, blah, 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 all the way to 30, okay? And that's how it's labelled up there. That also corresponds with the board here, because if you have a look, if you think that pin 1 is going to be, well, look, if you look at pin 16 is this one here, look where 16 is going to go, the top left here, and you can see it says 16 there. So 1 to 15, 16 to 30. You get the idea. Okay, now I have actually used a proper pin configuration for HDMI, because what I've done is, this is the HDMI cable here, and I've just put it via a coupler. I know this is a fancy bendable coupler, but it does the same job as a normal £2 coupler. And all the pins are coming up here between 1 to 19. 20 just basically means this outer connector, you know, the kind of I don't know, I suppose I would call it a ground. I don't know what the proper terminology would be, but basically it means all the metal parts of it. That would be pin 20. But basically there's 19 pins inside the HDMI. So what I've been doing is using my multimeter, and I've gone between here and the special, let's call it the special Dell connector. And I've also been going across the USB connector here. Now I haven't used the proper terminology on the USB connector, I've just done it like this. So if you have a look, the blue thing is at the bottom there, and you can see, because this is USB 3, it's got quite a few pins. It's got pins at the very front here, but it's also got another row of pins at the very back. You can actually see the pins at the back just through these holes here, and then there's pins up the front here. So it's not like a normal USB, which only has whatever it is, four or five connectors, 4 connectors I think. So yeah, that's how I've labelled it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the back row are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. HDMI is like so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 all the way to 19, and that connector there. Now, the shield, so with HDMI there's quite a few shield wires, and the shield is coming up on HDMI 2, 5, 8, 11 and 17, and USB 1 and 7, so these pins here, 1 and 7, the middle back one. But there's loads missing. So now let's forget about the USB. The USB comes up on Dell connector pin 16 and 17, USB 4 also comes up on 2, so USB 4 comes up on 2 pins, the 16 and 17, that's fair enough. And USB here, 2 and 3 come up on Dell connector 28 and 29, hopefully you get the idea. But look at this, the HDMI is missing a load of pins, so basically we kind of have nothing along here. We've got the shield for the HDMI, we've got the shield for the HDMI again, shield for HDMI, shield for HDMI, and then it starts here at pin 18, we've got HDMI 13. HDMI 13 doesn't really do much, it's CEC. CEC is what's used to basically turn equipment on and off. So for example, if you turn on your PlayStation, it will turn on your TV if it's CEC enabled. So that's definitely not going to affect the picture. Then we have pin 18 here, which is the plus 5 volt DC power. We've got pin 19, 16, 15. You can see here 19 is hot plug detect. Hot plug detect is to let the device know that HDMI has been plugged in. What we've got, 16 and 15 and 16. So these are some sort of, I don't know what this is, some kind of data. Okay, so they're important, 15 and 16. But look, there is none, as far as I know, of the actual display channels. Now, I think these are the display channels here. So yes, we have the shields coming through, but where's pin 1? Where's pin 3? Where's pin 4? Where is pin 6, pin 7, and pin 9? Now, I can't remember whether HDMI has like 3 pairs of wires for the visual, for the display, or 4 pairs. But either way, there should be like, you know, 6 wires there or 8 wires there. Yes, we've got the shields, but we're still missing out on 3 or 4 wires. Now, so I mean, I don't know where they should be coming up on the Dell connector, but look, this is interesting just to show you how complicated this is. If you have a look at this Dell connector, what do you see here? There's chips before it, and if you have a look at this chip here, it looks like it has got, there we go, can you see it looks like it's got, there, perfect, it's got pairs of wires coming out of it. Look, 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, and it's got wires going into it. Annoyingly, these tiny chips are actually BGA chips. You can see the balls just underneath them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape the board back here to see where I've got continuity between the HDMI pins, for example, you know, 1, 3, etc., on this part of it here. And then if I haven't got continuity afterwards, it means that this chip is somehow blocking the signal. Because on my PlayStation VR, there was 1 wire which was faulty. On a cable here, you're not going to get every single display cable faulty. What are the odds of that happening? So I think it's something much more sinister. Either that, or, for example, does something have to be enabled on here to connect it up? But the thing is, there should still be a path between this connector and the HDMI connector here. You know, they're just physical wires. So where have they gone to? You know, where have that connection gone to? So if it's not getting to here, obviously that's a major problem. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to scrape this side here and see if I can get a reading between here and here. If I can, and I can't get a reading after it, it means that this chip here is faulty. I've made a real schoolboy error there. I've cleaned off the chip, most of the writing, before actually writing down what it was. Because, you know, this might be like a generic part that I can buy somewhere, but I've been using the fiberglass brush to try and clean off the sides, but because there's so little room, I've ended up taking most of the markings off the chip. So I'm going to get some IPA alcohol, clean it up, and see if that makes a difference or not, see if I can see any markings on there which will give a clue to what this chip is. I've only got half the markings now. Right, I'm going to use my eye loop and go right close to it. No, I can only read half of it now, so it's a real shame. Okay, well what I'm going to do, the fiberglass brush isn't getting there, so I'm actually going to get a blade and I'm going to just scrape those traces, just enough to see it, so I can see a bit of copper. Right, okay, you can see how I've scraped them now. I've just had a thought. I mean, it's a bit unlikely that they would all go faulty, or would every single part of the chip go faulty. Do you know what I'm wondering? Maybe these only get passed through to here once the chip is livened up. So for example, you know there's various different power ones. Well, maybe power has to go into something, you know, on the actual board side to come through here to then liven up the chip to pass it through. I wonder if that's an option. Do you know what I mean? So for example, you know, voltage might come across one of these other things, because you can see there's it looks like there's other connections going off here, and then that might open up the gates for all these paths to go through. Anyway, I'm going to check here to see if we've got continuity, because if we have, that says to me then it's not a cable problem. Right, so I'm going to just do again this off camera, and then I'll write down on my little bit of paper what's what. Right, okay, well the mystery of the missing wires are now solved. They're all here. So for example, you know where I've scraped back just before the pin? The very first one goes to number 1 and then the next one goes to number 3. There you go. And it goes on like that. So if you have a look here, this is the chip where I kind of scraped half of it off. The very bottom there is 12, 10, 9, 7, 6, 4, 3, 1. So now I'm going to go across the HDMI diagram again and see what's happening. But I've got a feeling that's probably them all taken care of now, because these are all going to be the ones for the visual ones. So now I don't know what to do, because is that chip faulty or not? Yes, it's definitely not passing the signal through to there, but there is a chip there, so maybe it needs to have voltage injected into it before it will open those gates to allow the signal to go through. So yeah, remember we're coming from this way, aren't we? Because the computer is the thing doing the work, so we're coming from this way here. So maybe there has to be certain pins that are livened up before it allows this through. I really don't know. I don't know what I don't know what it does, and it doesn't help that I've wiped off the only bit that was important, the top of it, because I could have looked it up and it would have given me an idea. You know, maybe it might have said something like if 5 volts are on this one here, then it opens up these. I don't know. I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I've done that. So I'm just going to keep looking at this for a little bit longer and see if I can work out what's what. Right, sorry, it's only been about a minute later, but yeah, it makes sense. So look, you know these look like they're pairs, for example. Yeah, well look at this, the first one is 1 and 3, and 1 and 3 is channel 2 plus and minus with the shield in the middle. Remember, the shields are all working. And then the next one is 4 and 6. 4 and 6 is channel 1 plus, 6 is channel 1 negative, and 7 and 9 is channel 0 plus and positive, and channel 0 negative. And then the ones down here, the 11 and 12, and going into the bottom of the chip, they're for the clock negative and positive. So yeah, this is definitely the suspect area here, but whether it's actually faulty or not is what I need to try to work out. Okay, so I've just counted up every single one of my connections here, and basically I have got the full array of pins on the HDMI. So as far as I know, the cable itself on the HDMI side is definitely not faulty. Don't know about the USB side, but on the HDMI side 100% all the pins are accounted for. The only ones that are not here is pins 14, just pins 14. That is the only one that does not account for, and that would be for Ethernet. That would be for Ethernet over HDMI, which is not going to be needed in this instance here. So yeah, they're all here. So obviously it's not a cable problem. This is really getting to confuse me now as to what it could be. Right, this is interesting. I connected it up and it's run into this problem again. This happened a couple of times before when I did it, and now down here it is red hot. That I can't tell you how hot that is. I can barely touch it. In fact, I'm going to get some IPA to show you how hot that is. Right, watch this now. So, a little bit of IPA. Ready? Hold on, I can't see it. I think I need to get the... There you go, can you hear it? Listen. Listen, right. There you go, you can hear that sizzling. Apologies you can't see it, I need to get the light over. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the light. Right, here goes. You ready? Look, is it that capacitor there? So really I need to get to the other side of this chip. Saying that, I should be able to unplug this. And if that's... no. Should I be able to unplug this? Would the chip still be hot if I unplug this? I think I'm going to give it a go. Right, so I've unplugged it from the computer, so now this is dead. So let's unplug it from here. The whole thing is red hot. And this shouldn't be. This is just a cable. This whole thing is... that's burning hot. Right, now let's put it this way round and see if we can get anything on that. I mean, other parts of the board are warm to touch, but this here is burning hot. I'm gutted that I'm so disappointed that I scraped that chip, because maybe that chip only might only cost like £1 or £2. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it back into the computer. Plug back into the computer, and again I can feel the heat building up. So watch this now. Right, let's see if we can see where it's coming from. Let's try this chip here. Yeah, that's hot. So's that, but not as hot as this. That seems to be the hottest, doesn't it? Mind you, it's all red hot. I better be careful in case I damage my computer. Let's just turn it over this side here. No, I don't think it's... I mean, definitely not these two here. This is very hot here. Very hot. But is that just the opposite side to this one? I think it's this chip in the corner. I don't think it's the chip I thought it was. Look at that. I don't think it's those capacitors there. I think it's this chip, which is good because I haven't scraped away that one. Right, I'm going to look at this chip closely and see what it does. Or is it this one shortened that's then put in the, you know, short onto here or something? I don't know. I think it's that chip there. Right, let me take another closer look at this. So I've been doing some testing on this chip that gets red hot, and basically the top track going into it is USB 9, so this one here, and the next one is USB 8, and then it goes to the Dell connector 10 and 11. So I need to now find out online what a USB 3 ports are to find out what pin 8 and 9 actually are, because obviously there's something happening in here which this chip doesn't like, so I need to find out what's going into it. I'm also going to see if I can get the markings off this chip, but they're so small. This one here, U3. That's as much as my camera will magnify, and it's still not clear at all. Maybe I might try it on my iPhone, that might be clearer. Right, with the help of my daughter, a torch, and trying to steady up my hand with absolutely everything next to me, I managed to get a photo of the chip. So there you go, that's it there. If anybody knows what that is, I mean, I'm going to Google it now. I think it says VR8200. I mean, hopefully it's not some sort of specialist chip for VR. I'm hoping that that's just a kind of a coincidence. S7. So I'm going to try to type in that. I mean, I'm still finding it very hard to read that, but if I might maybe type in GIYW50, something might come up. So pleased I managed to get that. Right, unfortunately it looks like it's bad news. These chips look very specialist chips and they're not for sale on eBay or anything like that. If you have a look, it looks like it's Spectra 7 and it's on about virtual reality here, about high speed, lag free, blah 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 blah. And if I go to chips here, and then if I go to look VR8200, this one here, if I click on this one, it gives a little breakdown of what it is, so you can pause that and have a read of that. Unfortunately it means nothing to me, but it looks like they are specialist chips. Now interestingly enough, what I did is I just plugged in purely the USB cable, so I just plugged in just the USB, not the HDMI, and this got unbelievably hot, as in the little this VR8 8200 chip got really burning hot. So as soon as I put the IPA on it, it just sizzles off. But this is the thing that's also confusing me. When I take out the USB cable and plug just the HDMI cable in, so just that cable, it also gets warm. I mean, very hot to touch. I'm not talking about the chip here, I'm talking about the other chip that I sanded earlier, this one here. It also gets warm, but not to the same degree. So when I put IPA on that, basically it evaporates off within about 1 second. It's like that, but it doesn't sizzle off like this one here. Now, I'm nearly, I can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain it shouldn't do that. If they're getting that hot, remember there's no thermal pads or anything on here, then that's going to fail very quickly. I'm certain that this chip here, the VR8200 chip, is faulty, but there is no replacement cables from what I can see. I went onto iFixit And people are asking, can you get replacement cables? And nobody's given an answer. I've looked on eBay and all the headsets are over £300. There's one that's broken, but it says that the display's black. So maybe this could, I'm not saying it is, but maybe this might be a weak part on the system. In which case then maybe all the ones that are going to be up for spares will have a faulty cable. I don't know what to do. I'm pretty certain that it is this. Right, I've been messing around with it here, just connecting it up again. I just wanted to see whether it would still recognise it when it was connected up. And I accidentally touched the part where the this cable connects to the board, you know, the screens, and the one over here lit up. So I've just put a couple of screws back in there. Unfortunately, this is not good news, and I don't think maybe this buy was as honest as I thought it was. So watch this now. Which one did I touch? Oh, not that one. Oh, sorry, I haven't plugged it in. 1 second. Let me plug it back in. Right, so we're connected now. There we go. Look. Right. There, it's on. When I look through it, the display does not look right. It's not displaying what it does on the computer screen. In fact, right now it's not even connecting, it's saying something went wrong, but it looks smashed. So now it's going interesting colours. Oh no, it's not, it's the same colour, just depends which way you hold it. It goes from like pink to red to green. But I don't know now if I can show you this. There you go. What do you see in there? A nice crack going down the screen. It's hard for me to show you, but when I put that up to my eye I can really see it. Hopefully you can see it. It's running down here. So now yeah, I'm wondering, in fact I can see two cracks. I'm wondering whether this has been working fine and then it's been dropped, the screen's smashed and somehow shorted that USB chip, maybe even the HDMI chip as well. That's what I think's happened here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the screens and have a look at them and see what they look like. I'm also going to reread it to see which one flickered and went wrong. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, okay, I checked on the eBay listing and basically said that the right screen started to flicker and then went blank. Now, what's interesting is, I've got this connected again. Watch this now. So basically, this unbelievable amount of heat coming off here. I mean, the whole board is getting red hot just from this area here. Now, it's not when I touch this it comes on. Watch, it's as soon as I just tap this diode that it comes on. You see here, the diode here? Now, what's interesting is, when I tap this it comes on, and yet if I put this one over to here, I then have to tap this diode to make it come on. So if you watch this screen this side, it doesn't come on. But this side comes on every time I just tap this diode, yeah? And I don't have to do it hard at all. Just a gentle tap will get it to come on. And then if I put the good screen, let's call it, on this side, then it's still just completely blank. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that it is 100% cracked. But I will take it apart further just to sort of see what it's like. I'm thinking, at one stage I thought, you know, was the seller being dishonest? But you know what I think's happened here? There's so much heat coming from here, like so much heat. I think that the chip here has gone faulty. I'm almost certain that that chip has gone faulty. And I think what's happened is the heat has generated, lots of heat has been generated here. And look, it's cracked the screen which is next to all the heat. Because even now, I can feel the heat coming through here, and it's only been on a few minutes. So I think it's just built up, and then cracked this one because of the heat. I mean, yes, possibly it could be a classic eBay buy where the seller knew what exactly was going on, but you know, on this one, I'm not so sure. I think maybe that the crack, because I was wondering how could I have two faults, the fact that it's cracked and the chip's faulty, because there's no way that I should have this much heat in the board. I mean, it's unbelievably hot. And I was thinking maybe they dropped it and that cracked the screen, which then maybe led to some surge or something which blew the chip. But I'm thinking what's happened is I think the chip has failed, and I think all that heat has then gone onto the screen and caused the screen to crack through heat. That's what I reckon's happened That's what I think's happened here. So let's take this apart now and see what's happening. Now, just to show you when I swap it over, I shouldn't do this when it's on, but look, this is going to be junk now anyway. So watch, if I put this supposedly good screen here, you can see that nothing happens. And I've got my sensor here. Nothing's happening because that chip is playing up. And then if I put the bad screen on here, watch this. All I've got to do is start tapping that diode and then it starts going off. It's so strange. So obviously that's just some backlight issue. That's I reckon even if that screen was okay, I bet the screen itself is not working. I think what I'm doing there is somehow just getting the backlight to work, because this is all shorted and gone wrong in here anyway. So by me doing that, I must be putting some kind of short to ground or something which is causing it to work. Right, let's get this thing apart and see what it looks like on the inside. Right, let's get this apart and let's see what the insides, maybe both of them are smashed. Right, let me just remember which side is the... Right, it was the right hand one, wasn't it? This one here. Well, that looks like it's broken off there, doesn't it? That ribbon cable surely should be connected, not just to this bit of foil at the back. It should be connected in there to the actual screen. Hold on now, is that going to come out? Right. Yeah, there you go, it's all cracked. Look. Can you see down here? Yeah, look, you can see it's flexing there. You can see the crack there now. Yeah, okay, so that's obviously never going to work again. And there you go, you can actually see the imprint there off the crack. I wonder, does that sort of different colour there mean that that's where it was heat, where the heat got to it? Do you know what, I really do believe that it was heat that caused this. Oh look, you can see through there now. I'm still confused as to why it was still working through one eye. If the, do you know what, maybe the chip started to fail, got really hot, cracked this one, and then they probably took it off. Maybe a few seconds later this one would have gone dead as well. So yeah, that's it. I wonder how easy these are to take out without breaking them. Be curious to see if this one's broken as well. I don't think it is, but it doesn't seem to be loose like the other side. Do you remember when I touched the diode that the light came on? That's because the screen itself was damaged and it's just the backlight that's coming on. So if you have a look, there's a separate little cable just here that goes into this little part here, which is the backlight. So now in taking the other one out, I've damaged the other one. This was already damaged, but the other one I damaged. So now look, because this one's damaged as well, when I connect them both up, watch. Can you see that? That lights up when I touch that diode, and watch now. This lights up when I touch the diode. So basically, all that's happening is I'm kind of making that backlight come on. So it's not the screen itself, it's purely the backlight that's working. Now I have looked, you can actually get screens for this from AliExpress. They're about £94 for both screens. Now if it was just that, I would actually do that, but remember, it's the chip. There's something wrong with that chip, because even now I can feel so much heat coming off it. So I'd need to do the screens and also either get a chip and try to put it on there, or have to buy the complete new cable. And the cable is not going to be, I can't find the cable for sale anywhere. So by the time you add in £90 for the screens, and even if the cables were released in the future, add that onto the £80 that I spent, and you would actually near enough be able to buy a fully, new working one of these, depending on how much the cable was. So you've got to be kind of careful with stuff like this. The spare parts can often cost more. Just a few spare parts can cost more than the whole thing. But I thought that was quite interesting. So that's the reason why that screen is lighting up there. So that proves that that was definitely broken anyway. Right, so that is it for this video. Unfortunately for me, it was quite a disappointing one because I wasn't really given a proper chance to be able to fix it, and also there was 2 faults wrong with it. But I suppose I do feel confident that I have proved what the fault was, and in my heart of hearts I do believe that it was the heat that cracked this screen, because there's too much of a coincidence that the screen is right on this side and this is getting unbelievably hot, especially when it's contained in the case as well. I think the heat would be a lot more. So yeah, the other alternative is possibly that it was dropped, and in dropping it, it's also damaged the chip, which I suppose you would think is a more likely explanation. But if I'm to go by what I read, and if it was only used for 2 hours, then it is believable that there was actually a default a problem with that chip, and it's cracked the screen. So I think I'm going to go with that. Obviously, if you know otherwise, add it down to the comments. I would like to hear other opinions, but I think that's what I think it is anyway. So maybe I could turn it into some fun game where I can kind of like do this and you know, get the party going. Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to call it a day. I've spent half the day on this today and got nowhere. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more trying to fix and failing videos. Take care. Bye now.